Welcome back to Collective Perspective. This is episode 13. Um, Coming off of last episode, Craig, how's the game room transfer coming along?
Going well. All the games are here, so everything has been put on a shelf. It's more just like the etc. things, like the figures, the consoles, all that I got to set up. But the game part of the game room is golden. If you would like to see updates, follow me on Twitter at Craig's Game Room because I've been posting photos there.
Beautiful photos for sure. Still thinking about selling stuff?
Um, Honestly, some of the figures and stuff, maybe. If anyone's interested in some rare Sega figures, hit me up. Trying to get some of those off my hand, but no, I don't think I'm gonna be selling too much. I'm filling up the space well. Some wall space. I'm trying to decide if I want to put up like little extra shelves to put figures, or if I want to just put posters. But it's just for me, so it's not like I'm in any kind of rush. I'm more just in a rush to be able to play games again because I haven't had the time to really play anything in like almost 2 months now, and I miss playing video games.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk about what people should be quote unquote collecting in 2022 today.
Sega Saturn, TurboGrafx 16, the easy stuff.
I'll start off here. I wrote down that something I'm always talking about is you should definitely be collecting the important titles sooner rather than later, and that kind of just goes back to the past, or like not the past, the other collectibles. You know, if you see Spider-Man, Amazing Fantasy 15, of course it's an important title. If you got in on that early, then you're good to go. That one's just only going up from here. Um, Same thing I think will apply to video games, and you've already seen things like Super Mario Brothers and Mario 64 skyrocket. Um, Something I just purchased this past month was Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy, and it was still
Hmm.
only $100. I mean, when you think about the first of a franchise, a very important character, $100 is not a high price to pay.
Nah, I'm
Um,
always surprised that that one's not more because Dreamland 2 and 3
yeah,
are exceptionally more expensive, which I always found bizarre.
3 is crazy, but it came out in like '96 when the N64 was coming out.
Yeah, the game sucks.
um, yeah, so
Before anyone gets mad, I'm a
PS2,
huge Kirby fan. It's just not my favorite Kirby game.
I did play it a little bit on the Switch online, and it's not great.
It's so slow, right? Like the
Yeah.
pacing of it feels like you're fucking trudging through mud, but it is one of the prettiest Super Nintendo games by far. It looks like a coloring book. It's so cool.
PS2 has some amazing titles for dirt cheap that I think qualify under the important category. Last year, I got Kingdom Hearts 2 for $5.40 shipped on eBay. Um, I mean, it's not Kingdom Hearts 1, but Kingdom Hearts 1 is also cheap as heck. Like, there's a lot of stuff on Xbox and PlayStation that you should absolutely add to your collection right now. Do you have anything you want to throw in here?
No, of course. When we were talking about this topic, for some reason in my mind, I was thinking like full console libraries, but I kind of like where you're going with this, more of like specific games. So that is a good point. I wanted to ask you, when you say important games, do you mean like the games that are already high end and aren't gonna go back down anytime soon, or do you think more of like the staples like the Mario's and the Zeldas, or like for GameCube, are you saying like you should buy Gotcha Force before it gets worse? Like which one do you think is
No,
more important?
whenever I say important, I'm using it in the sense of historical importance.
Okay, I gotcha. No, yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it, especially. It is hard because there's certain things that don't really make sense in terms cost wise, like we were just talking about the Kirby games. Even like if you want to complete in box Super Mario World, even if it's the player choice version now, you can't find that for like less than a couple $100, which is insane. I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, when I think of things that people should collect, quote unquote, right now, I think of specific libraries where overall the quality is high and the cost is low. And for me, I just think of the entire Xbox line, Xbox Original, 360, and Xbox One. All of those consoles, the average game I would argue is probably less than like $10. They're
for
huge
sure.
libraries, and a majority of the games are high quality. I mean, Xbox One, you're not really going to get it for the exclusives, but if you want anything third party on there, if you want it on PS4 or Switch or whatever else, the Xbox One version is going to be the cheapest because
Yeah.
either nobody cares about it or it's on Game Pass. So if you care about the physical media and the affordability, Xbox One is definitely the way to go. 360, the PS3 counterpart, I would say 9 out of 10 times is more expensive, so the 360 version is a good way to go. Original Xbox, same thing. The PS2 and GameCube versions are always going to be more expensive, except for like the rare outlier like Teen Titans or something like that. So
Yeah.
in terms of things people should be collecting now, in terms of affordability, at least in my eyes, I think the whole Xbox line is still on the table. And it's just funny to me how PlayStation is only one generation before Xbox and
Yeah.
Microsoft before they got into it. And for some reason, the nostalgia is so much higher that it's like almost negates the collectability or the importance in a lot of people's eyes for anything Xbox brand. And that's just so crazy to me because the time separation really isn't that big comparatively. I mean, you think about from Nintendo to Sony, it's I think about the same time period. I'm trying to think maybe about 10 years, and then I guess it's even less actually for PS1 to Xbox. That'd be what 94 to 2001, so that would only be 7 years. I don't know. I just find it so interesting. I find it so interesting that people don't care about Xbox more. The quality is there,
Yeah.
the affordability is there. So if you want to build up a good library, just go with Xbox because you're gonna find a lot of good stuff, and there's a lot of like weird like little hidden gems and things people forgotten about hidden in those libraries that are really good. I have a friend who's going for a full 360 set. He has, I think, 450-ish games right now, he told me, and he has not really spent much money at all comparatively
Right.
to anything else, say, you and I have collected over the years. And he has so many good, high-quality games, and he's, like, he doesn't have, like, any of the Maddens, any of the Call of Duties, anything like that, just, like, the oddball stuff and, like, the more interesting games that people really care about, like the one or two Atlas titles and just different things like that. So collect right now, I would still say, I mean, it's been the thing to collect for years that people have been ignoring, but anything Xbox.
That's a great point. I love me some Xbox. Didn't even grow up with it, but going back and discovering a lot of the original Xbox has a lot of exclusives that no one really talks about.
Oh, a ton.
And it's a good console for sure. So if you're looking for something that you're definitely wanting to have like quality games for, like Craig said, Xbox all the way, for cheap. And even if you're not into Xbox, you got to get those exclusives. I would classify that as important titles as well. You know, you
Oh,
got to
totally.
get your Halo, your Gears of War, all that crap.
Blink's the Time
Um,
Sweeper.
yeah, dude, that's another one. Like nobody gives a dang, and there's two of those games.
I know, and they're actually both pretty dang good. Like they're not like the best games you'll ever play, but they're pretty unique and they're definitely worth your time. So, Panzer Dragoon Orta, the one of the games that is like Star Fox but better than Star Fox that people always forget about.
I'm with you on that.
It's so good.
Okay, the other thing I wrote under important is a lot of first party Nintendo games are still cheap. I know I mentioned Kirby already, but like when I say cheap, I mean Mario Galaxy, not even the player's choice, you can get it for $15. And
Yeah, and I would
what's up
argue
with
that's like
that?
a perfect video game.
yeah, yeah, definitely up there near the 10 mark. And yeah, look into that. There's a ton of stuff on the Wii, ton of stuff on probably just the Wii. Yeah. Uh, I don't
No,
know.
yeah, the
DS.
Wii is definitely still mostly affordable and mostly really good. A lot of the more expensive Wii games, despite what people might want you to think, like the horror games like the Ju-On Haunted House Simulator and The Calling, they aren't actually that good. So even if you don't worry about like the high end stuff for Wii, you're not missing out much. But like the first party titles and a lot of like the weird random mid grade titles are super good on the Wii. The only really expensive Wii game I'd say you're missing out on, and it depends on your taste, is Dokapon Kingdom, because that's definitely an acquired taste for most people. But yeah, like the Mario Galaxies, I don't think the Kirby Anniversary Collection is too expensive yet. The Metroid Prime trilogy isn't as bad as it used to be. So there's a
Really?
lot of essentials on there that are pretty dang good as well. The Mario Sports titles on there, I think a lot of people sleep on them because of the GameCube versions, but like the Wii version of Strikers is really good. The Wii version of Baseball is really good. There's a lot of good stuff on there.
Aside from just having important titles, the Wii is also good. It's one of those consoles that has a massive library, which means there is a lot of what I would call untapped rare titles on the platform. So we
Oh
talk
yeah.
about GBA constantly, but the PS1, the DS, the Wii, I think all fall under that category. They're like 1,000 plus games, and no one is taking the time to sift through them and see which copy of Madden is worth or like is not super common, like these are consoles that have games that might only have one or two copies on eBay that are worth $5, and that's I think a big one that people should be looking into in 2022.
Oh yeah, totally. When I was going for the Wii set before I gave up, there was probably at least like 20 to 30 titles that I only ever saw once in person or online, and that was part of the reason that I bought them just because I was like, the
Yeah.
hell is this weird racing truck racing game? And I would go on eBay and there'd be like one loose copy and I was like, "Oh, well, I'm picking this one up."
And you'd expect that with a modern console like the Wii. It's only been out. Wow, it's already been out for like 16 years.
hmm
But something old like the PS1, I brought that up. I just bought Creatures Raised in Space. Have you ever heard of that game?
No.
Yeah, exactly. You look it up, there's maybe 5 copies on eBay. Not the rarest thing in the world, but I bought it for like 10 or 15 bucks and just because it was rare.
Oh yeah.
So do your research, kids,
No, yeah.
like we always say.
Oh yes. One other thing I would like to shout out. I know you're not really into collecting more modern consoles, but PS4 is a pretty good one too right now, especially since more people are focused on PS5. A lot of the big first-party games that a lot of people like the original Horizon, God of War, Days Gone, a bunch of those kind of games are like $10 on average, and those are all super good. Like we said, like I would say those are essential titles for that system. Very affordable. So PS4 is a good one to look into right now because a lot of people are hauling off their PS4 stuff to get PS5 stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a big collector of modern stuff, but this is the time for me to buy the stuff as someone that wants to play those games, right?
No, totally.
Because they are
Cause,
so cheap.
and it's kind of funny because I feel like there's that disconnect for Xbox right now because like the series consoles are kind of just like a continuation of the one consoles. So it's like
Definitely.
people aren't really getting rid of their Xbox stuff for that, but PS5 people are like, "Oh, then I'm going to trade in my PS4 and all the games for the PS5 and PS5 games."
Yeah.
So you're finding a lot of that stuff like I went to a secondhand store in town a few weeks ago and I got 2018 God of War, Uncharted 4, and Days Gone for $20.
Hmm.
So that's a lot of good stuff for not a lot of money.
The Xbox thing is a very interesting topic that we might have to cover at some point. It's like, there's how could you even get an Xbox Series X set down the road because there are so many titles that like are playable on the One and the Series X, and there's not a big distinction between them. They have the same case style.
hmm
It's a very interesting phenomenon that I won't
Yeah,
go
I don't
into right
know. I
now.
mean, do are all Xbox Series S and X games still compatible with the ones or no?
I
Do you
don't
know?
think so. I think majority are.
Yeah, that's
I
going
think
to
the
be an
majority are.
interesting one. We'll have to look into that. That could be a fun topic.
Another big thing. This one is advice for myself, really. The Game Boy Color is, man, I need to start buying more Game Boy Color because
People
nobody
forget
gives
about
a
it.
dang.
No,
What'd you say?
everyone either does advanced or original. No one really touches the
Yeah.
color.
Yeah, so there's a ton of rare stuff on there, and I don't think people get their Pokemons and their. That's it. Nobody gives a dang
No,
about Pokemon. I mean, about Game Boy Color. Lots of rare games out there that you can find cheap.
good
Um,
point, sir. Good point.
People ask me how I know about rare games. Get out there and do your own research. If you wait for Metal Jesus to make a video, you're too late already. Um,
Yeah, Yeah, that's fair.
And the last thing I was gonna say is go to your local game stores with the knowledge that you get from researching, and you can get stuff for cheap. I talk about that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, something I'll do probably at least once a week while I'm just like waiting for my fiance to get off of work or something is I'll go to my like local store, and like I won't go through everything obviously because that take forever, but like I'll go over to the PS3 section and I'll just like literally like I'm at a library, like go down with my finger across all the games and be like, oh, never heard of that one before. Pull it out, look it up. I
And
mean,
that's what you got to do.
yeah, that's honestly the best way to find the weird stuff that people don't know about is to put in the time. And I know putting in time is not always fun, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it's worth it. It feels like it could be a waste of time. But if you are as passionate about this hobby as we are, then it never truly feels like a waste of time because even if you learn that that game you pulled out that you never heard of is super common and you just never heard of it, you still learn something about it, even if
Gain
it
knowledge.
wasn't that you were going to be a millionaire off of it.
Very well put. I like it. Is there anything you think people should not be collecting in 2022?
um, it's hard because a lot of the things that come to mind for me are things that are on the rise, but I feel like it's too soon to tell where they're going to end up. Like 3DS, I think would probably be the biggest thing right now. Uh, a lot of 3DS stuff is just exploding like crazy, and I feel like it's too early to know when that might settle down or if it's going to go down or stabilize or whatever else might happen. And it's like my mind also goes to things like TurboGrafx or Sega Saturn and stuff like that. But I also feel like a
Right.
lot of that kind of stuff is like it's been expensive and it'll always be expensive. So you might as well
Right.
just kind of get it whenever you have the availability to.
I agree with
Um,
that.
so I mean I don't know. It's kind of a hard question. Maybe you have a better answer than me, but I feel like for a lot of stuff. It really just kind of depends on your own financial situation and how patient you want to be because of how unpredictable it is now.
Sure, sure. I think the Wii U is probably going to come down from this little hype train
Oh
that's
yeah,
going on.
you know what? You're
That's
right.
a
That's my
dumb one.
answer too. Because Wii U had this hype train a few years ago, and
Yeah.
then when Hello Kitty was selling for $400, I was laughing at everybody because a year later I bought it for 30. So
Yep, the Crudes and Turbo or
Turbo,
whatever.
yeah.
Yep.
Devil's Third is not a $500 game. Please don't spend that much money on it. It's really not even rare, like not even a little bit. So,
I wrote a few franchises down for this part.
oh, good.
Pokemon we've been saying for years,
Yeah.
but as someone that's trying to get Symphony of the Night and the Castlevania games on DS and Circle of the Moon, Castlevania is a terrible place to be buying games right now.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
Symphony of the Night definitely falls under the important games category. I don't know if that one's ever coming down, so you might just
What's
want
it
to
at
save
right
up
now?
for
Do
it.
you know?
If you're lucky, you spend 175 on a black label.
That's insane.
And I can say that with confidence because I'm actively looking. But the
Good
DS
lord.
games being over $100 each is nuts to me.
Oh,
I can
totally.
understand the GBA ones because they're cardboard, but yeah.
But the
And
Game
then I
Boy
wrote
Advance ones
Kirby.
are harder to find than the DS ones. So,
They certainly should be. I wrote Kirby down because whenever the latest game came out on Switch, there was, it's probably still the same way, but Kirby has gotten very expensive for some strange reason.
I don't know.
Yeah.
People are finally no longer sleeping on the little guy, realizing his
Right,
games
and
are
then
actually super
Dreamland
good.
is only $100 for some reason. It doesn't make
Yeah, I know.
sense.
I know. And
Um,
then Adventure, I think, is only like 70 complete.
no way.
I don't think it's that expensive. So, feel free to roast me in the comments if I'm wrong. But I remember every time I've looked up Adventure has been cheaper than Dreamland, so
Well, that's all I got, Craig. Anything else?
no, I think we covered pretty much everything I had in mind on the subject. So yeah, go support your local Xbox ecosystem out there because there's a lot of whenever I go to my local game stores, I see the same games sitting there for months, and it makes me sad because the only reason I don't buy them is because I already have majority of the good ones that I want. So go give your original Xbox some love.
Good call. Good call. We will see you guys in episode 14. Make sure to come hang out in the Discord. It's free. just click the link in the description below.
Yeah.